Hello and welcome to my presentation. My name is Hilda Lyng and I'm from the University of Stavanger, which is located in Norway. The study I am to present for you today is called Balancing Adaptation and Innovation for Resilience in Healthcare, and is a collaborative work by the Resilience in Healthcare group at SHARE. As such, I would like to thank the other researchers for their contribution. Carl McRae, Vesle McGuice, Cecilie Haraldseid Driftland, Birte Fagerdal, Lene Skipevåg, Janne Gro Alsvik, and the project manager, Professor Siri Vig. Resilience in healthcare is defined by Vig et al. As the capacity to adapt to challenges and changes at different system levels in order to maintain high quality care. This definition underpins adaptation as fundamental for achieving resilience in healthcare, which makes up the focus for this study. Adaptation is therefore crucial for resilience. However, our understanding of adaptation in healthcare remains quite underdeveloped. McRae and Draycott described two different types of adaptations when they studied resilience in maternity care. Dynamic adjustments refer to moment-by-moment responses to variations of practical work. And adaptive reorganizations refer to effortful processes of reflection, inventions, and adaptations. A similar way of categorizing adaptation is proposed by Löw, who separates adaptability into adaptations and transformations, where adaptations is aimed at maintaining a current system regime, and transformations refers to a change of the system. Even from being a valuable tactic for resilience in healthcare, researchers have also described a dual nature of adaptation. Brandlett and Woods describe different patterns of maladaptation. Firstly, a system may be overloaded and there is no capacity left to perform adaptations. The actors may therefore just rely on easy band-aid solutions. Secondly, adaptations may work at cross purposes, like in situations where subsystems or individuals adapt locally, producing behaviors that may end up maladaptive at other system levels. And third, adaptation may be trapped in outdated behavior, like in this picture of my daughter Maria, who claimed the need for extra pacifiers when being extra upset for going to bed. And this is a kind of a never change a winning team solution. We have now established the value of adaptations for resilience. If we take a step further to understand adaptations, Jones et al. Have found innovation instrumental for ensuring adaptive capacity, and especially so the system's ability to foster and support innovation. Innovation relies on a full process from ideation to implementation in order to succeed. This poses a difference between adaptation and innovation in the amount of resources needed. Furthermore, innovation is typically described as recombinations of already existing knowledge and is therefore described through a knowledge lens. This knowledge perspective is almost lacking in ideas about adaptation, which typically emphasizes practices. Adaptations may therefore introduce a dilemma for innovation. On one hand, adaptations provide valuable inputs to the innovation process. On the other hand, adaptations may introduce a barrier for innovation in healthcare, where the ability to adapt, even to worsening conditions, reduces the motivation to innovate. The aim for this study is therefore to increase our understanding of adaptation and innovation across different healthcare settings. And this aim is addressed by three research questions. Firstly, what constitutes adaptation and innovation in resilience of healthcare? Secondly, what type of mechanisms are involved? And thirdly, what type of responses are adaptation and innovation associated with? This study is part of the Resilience in Healthcare Research Program, which aims to establish a resilience in healthcare framework. And this study is part of the first exploratory phase. Data collection for this study included former and ongoing projects at the Center for Resilience in Healthcare. 50 projects were initially screened by the use of an established screening protocol to gain understanding of how the projects related to resilience and which quality components they covered. From the screened projects, 14 projects were selected to inform this study. These 14 projects included 22 peer-reviewed articles and book chapters and 6 PhD theses. The data analysis included a combination of 2 different methodologies. Firstly, a narrative was developed from each project by researcher pairs. All narratives were based on a predefined template agreed upon by the research team. The template covered the following dimension based on McRae and Wieg: resilience for what, resilience to what, resilience of what, and resilience through what. Completed narratives totaled 70 pages and represented different healthcare contexts, practices, and levels, thereby allowing for a contextually informed convergence of a comprehensive dataset. The second step included an inductive analysis according to grounded theory. The initial coding included concepts emerging directly from the data, which were aggregated into second-order themes and further to third-order dimensions. Third-order dimensions included in this analysis actions, responses, mechanisms, and enablers. And grounded theory allowed for an inductive cross-contextual comparison across the projects. Let's move over to the findings. If we first look at adaptations, we found that some responses could be classified as reactive short-term solutions. Typically, these mechanisms involved individuals who took on new roles and responsibilities to keep up the level of care. The impact of these short-term adaptations were quickly installed solutions in peak situations which provided efficiency. However, these short-term adaptations also masked system deficiencies. Let's take a closer look. 1/3 of all adaptations within this dataset were short-term adaptations. They were used as firefighting actions, like in situations of sick leave or in peak situations. Short-term adaptations did not change the structure of the system, so the next time they entered a similar situation, they were in need of new adaptations. It therefore followed an iterative pattern. These short-term adaptations were based on single loop learning, where they typically represented an individual who took on new responsibilities. This meant that even though the individual performing the extra task gained new knowledge and competence, wider organizational learning was mainly absent. As these quick fixes allowed for maintaining care, they also masked the deficiencies within the system leading to these type of situations, like for instance, the lack of buffer resources. For the meso and the macro level, appropriate care seemed to be adequate with the available resources, and unless reported upwards, they saw no need for changes. Maladaptation here often consisted of adaptations acting at cross purposes for different levels. However, adaptations were also found to reveal long-term solutions. These long-term solutions were more proactive and relied on mechanisms for reorganization of practices and resources. The impact of these long-term adaptations were found to be enabling for adaptive capacity. And let's also take a closer look at these long-term adaptations. Long-term adaptations accounted for 2/3 of the adaptation found in this dataset. This was mostly related to some form of reorganization. In terms of practices, an example of reorganization is when a surgeon developed a surgical procedure for marking the skin with a hollow pen at the site of the vein entrance. And by doing so, access was eased if the patient later turned ill and swelling occurred. Reorganization of resources, mostly related to the organization of buffer resources, staff continuity, and by designating highly experienced people to specific coordinating roles. As long-term adaptations are questioning the fundamental challenge, it involves double loop learning. Furthermore, long-term adaptations affect a bigger group and not the sole individual as in short-term adaptation. By changing the system, the organization would be prepared and have a solution in place. And as such, these long-term solutions acted as enablers. However, maladaptation may occur also for long-term adaptations if outdated behaviors are introduced as solutions, which there have been a number of examples of in healthcare digitalization processes. To complete the conceptual framework, we also need to introduce innovations to our understanding. Innovations refer to long-term solutions and rely on mechanisms like innovative reorganization of practices and the use of technology, thereby leading to proactive responses which were found enabling for adaptive capacity. Innovations are traditionally perceived as new product development, but when they refer to innovation in healthcare, innovation includes new solutions to increase services and care, and therefore include different aspects like new technology, new processes, and new practices. Innovations represented few instances within this data set, thereby posing an imbalance between adaptations and innovations. But why is it so? First of all innovations rely on a full process to be successful, which means that it's more time and resource demanding. Innovations are mostly recombinations of existing knowledge, which means that new external knowledge needs to be imported and combined with situated knowledge. The low number of innovations may therefore be explained as a lack of imported knowledge or as a lack of resources made available at early innovation phases. Many of the adaptations found in this data set held the potential for being developed into innovations, like the use of a hollow pen for marking the vein entrance. This solution could easily be developed into a medical tool and as such spread to other organizations. If we combine the findings from this research with the contributions from McRae and Draycott, we can provide a conceptual understanding of adaptations for resilience in healthcare, going from short-term adjustments, which are moment-by-moment responses with only local temporary impact. However, they are quick to install, which is sometimes needed in peak situations. Long-term reorganizations need more time and resources to be developed and implemented. But they provide a wider impact and are more proactive as they contribute to a change of the system. Most impact is received by developing innovation, as these changes in product processes and practices are available for other organizations as well. However, innovation development rely on a willingness to engage with time and resources. Healthcare leaders therefore need to balance and prioritize between these forms of adaptations in terms of resources, time, and impact. An overweight of short-term adjustments will mean that the frontline are prone to stress and a lack of continuity. And if everything should be developed into innovations, the frontline would be left with no solutions until the development was completed. There is therefore a need for prioritizing of where to put the effort and a continuous consciousness of the impacts that may be achieved. Then it's just for me to thank you all so much for the attention. If you are interested in reading more of this study, this paper is recently published in BMC Health Services Research and of open access, so please enjoy. Thank you.